Summer nights in my hometown always carried a heavy silence. The kind of silence that pressed against your skin, that made you notice every cicada, every frog croak, every faint hum of the electric lines outside. I hadn't been back in years, not since my parents passed. They left me their little house, an old place under a maple tree, its porch sagging just enough to groan when you stepped on it. I thought it would be peaceful to spend the summer there. Thought maybe I'd find comfort in the familiar. I couldn't have been more wrong. It started my very first week. Around 2 a.m, I woke to a noise. At first, I thought it was just the usual creaks of an old house. But this was different. It was rhythmic. A slow, steady creak, like wood rocking back and forth. My heart sank when I realized it was the porch swing. The swing I'd spent so many summers on as a kid. I lay still, listening. My rational brain told me it was the wind. But something deeper in me, something instinctive, whispered no. The sound wasn't random. It was deliberate. Finally, curiosity clawed at me until I couldn't ignore it. I pushed the curtain aside just enough to peer out the window. And that's when I saw it. Someone was sitting there. The swing moved under their weight, but the figure itself was stiff, motionless. The head didn't turn, didn't bob with emotion. Just sat there, waiting. My skin prickled cold. Would you open your door if you saw someone sitting outside your house at 2 a.m? I did. God help me, I did. I flipped on the porch light, hoping to scare them off. The figure didn't flinch. With my heart pounding in my ears, I cracked the door open, gripping the handle tight. The swing creaked to a stop. Slowly, so slowly, the figure stood up. My breath caught in my throat. Without a word, without even looking at me, it walked down the steps and into the tall grass, vanished like smoke. The swing rocked once, twice, then went still. The next day, I told myself it had to be a prank, maybe a neighbor kid trying to freak me out. But unease clung to me all day. That night, I set up a camera facing the swing, cheap, motion activated, just in case. When I checked the footage in the morning, my blood ran cold. At exactly 2 a.m, the man appeared, thin, pale, his hands folded neatly in his lap as he rocked back and forth. He never moved his head, never shifted. And then, just before the recording cut off, he smiled. That wasn't all. When the static cleared, I saw it. A small wooden box sitting on the porch right at his feet. I hadn't seen it the night before. Would you touch a box that appears on your porch after a stranger sits there in the dead of night? I didn't. Not at first. It was about the size of a lunch pail, rough wood sealed shut with some kind of melted wax. Just sitting there, waiting. I called my buddy Mark, told him everything. He laughed it off. It's a prank. Don't overthink it, easy for him to say. He wasn't the one who had to live here. That night, I couldn't sleep. The cicadas were deafening, the air heavier than usual. And then I heard it again. The creak of the swing. But this time, it was louder, angrier, as if whoever or whatever sat there wanted me to come outside. I grabbed my flashlight, opened the door. The swing was empty, but the box was gone. My stomach turned to ice. I scanned the yard, the trees, the grass. Nothing, just shadows. I locked the door, bolted the windows, and sat in the dark until sunrise. The following night, around 3 a.m, I woke to a scraping sound against the siding of the house. Not an animal, not branches. It was too deliberate, too close. I looked through the blinds. The box was back, sitting neatly on the porch steps. Once something starts moving on its own, you can't call it a prank anymore. By the fourth night, I cracked. Curiosity and fear twisted together, and I brought the box inside. My hands shook as I cut through the wax. The lid creaked open, and the smell hit me. Damp earth, rot, like something dug out of a grave. Inside was a photograph, black and white, edges curling with age. A family of 4 stood on my porch, a man, a woman, 2 children. But in the background, blurred but unmistakable, was the same thin man, sitting on the swing. Here's the part that froze my blood. The photo was dated 1962, but my parents didn't build that swing until 1978. That man had been there before the swing even existed. I dropped the photo, bile rising in my throat. My parents never mentioned this, never warned me. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, clutching the photo, listening. And right on time, at 2 a.m., the creak began again. By then, fear had become obsession. I needed to see more. I set up the camera again, closer, pointed straight at the swing. The next morning, I pressed play. At first, nothing, just the porch. Then, on the dot at 2 a.m., the man appeared, same as always, hands folded, rocking gently. But this time, he turned, slowly, directly toward the camera, and I saw his face. Not pale, gray sunken, hollow, corpse-like. His eyes were pits, black and endless. His mouth stretched into a grin wider than any human jaw could manage. The screen glitched, skipped frames. When it cleared, he wasn't on the swing anymore. He was standing at the porch door, inches from the camera lens, staring. Then the video cut. He wasn't just visiting anymore. He wanted in. I didn't leave the house for days. Kept the doors locked, the curtains drawn. Mark stopped answering my calls after I tried explaining. Maybe he thought I'd lost it. Maybe I had. But last night proved otherwise. I woke to the sound of the front door unlocking. My chest froze. I hadn't given anyone a spare key. I crept down the hallway, every step heavier than the last. The living room was dim, the door wide open, summer air spilling inside. And on the coffee table, the box, the lid already open. The photograph was gone. The swing outside, perfectly still, which means he isn't out there anymore. I got my first job as a summer camp counselor the year I turned 18. The camp was deep in the woods, where sunlight barely reached the forest floor, and the air always smelled of pine, moss, and damp earth. My bunk was small, wooden, and creaky, groaning under every movement. Everything felt perfect. At first, it started on the 3rd night. We had been telling ghost stories around the campfire, classic, harmless stuff. But after the fire burned down to embers, I walked back to my cabin alone. The forest was unnervingly quiet. Not the usual hum of insects or the hoot of an owl. Just silence. My footsteps sounded impossibly loud against the dirt path, echoing as if the trees themselves were listening. I stepped inside the cabin, locked the door, and set my bag down. Then I heard it, scratching. Soft at first, then louder. Something moving deliberately, circling the cabin. My pulse jumped. Raccoons, I told myself. But the rhythm, the weight, it didn't match any animal I'd ever heard. Have you ever felt eyes on you when no one's there? That gut-wrenching feeling that something is just waiting? I grabbed my flashlight and shined it outside. Nothing. Just swaying trees and shadows. But the scratching didn't stop. It grew more confident, almost impatient. Then a low hiss echoed through the night. Not an animal, not human, something else. Something alive, but not entirely of this world. I locked the cabin, pulled the blankets tight, and waited. Minutes stretched into hours. Every snap of a branch made me flinch. Every distant call sounded deliberate. The wind whispered through the leaves in strange patterns, like murmurs of warning. I couldn't sleep. By morning, I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just nerves. But that night, it returned. Louder, closer, scraping along the wooden walls, low hisses, almost whispers drifting through the cracks. I could feel it, waiting for me, just beyond the threshold. What would you do if every night something circled your room, watching, listening, waiting? I wasn't alone. Other counselors whispered about flickers in the shadows, things moving just beyond the tree-lined footprints, appearing where none had been. The camp director dismissed it. "Woods play tricks on your mind," he said. Easy for him, he slept in the big lodge far from the cabins. On the fifth night, it escalated. Around midnight, dragging sounds echoed outside my cabin. Then a whisper, soft, pleading, calling my name. My breath caught. Not human, not alive in any way I recognized. The voice wasn't human, yet I understood it. It wanted something from me. Something I couldn't name. I grabbed my flashlight and slowly opened the door. The beam cut through the darkness, and there it was. A shape crouched at the edge of the clearing. Thin, elongated limbs, hunched unnaturally. Eyes, black pits, staring directly at me. My body froze. Then it moved, fast, gliding, almost floating, and it disappeared into the shadows. By the next day, the other counselors were tense, on edge. Everyone had stories, flickers of movement, whispers, shadows twisting independently of the trees. We tried to leave the forest paths, but every trail looped back. Hours of walking felt like minutes. The forest seemed alive, rearranging itself to keep us inside. Have you ever felt a forest alive, watching, deciding whether you live or die? That night, we decided to confront it. I volunteered to stay awake, flashlight in hand. Hours crawled by. Around 2:15 a.m., a soft footstep sounded on the porch. My flashlight caught a crouched figure, skeletal, gray, limbs elongated, eyes like empty wells. Its breath was faint but icy against my skin. My heart thumped so hard I felt it in my throat. I backed away slowly. Every instinct screamed at me to run. I turned to alert the other counselors. Gone. Doors slammed, windows rattled. Whispering voices filled the room. Words I didn't understand, but the meaning was clear. Leave or stay forever. I bolted. Through the cabin, down the trail into the trees. Branches clawed at me. The forest air was suffocating, thick. Behind me, dragging sounds, whispers, laughter that wasn't human. My vision blurred with panic. Every shadow seemed alive, stretching toward me. Have you ever felt the forest itself watching, shaping paths to trap you? I reached the campfire clearing. The thing stopped. Silence fell over the forest. Too perfect. And then I saw it. On the hill, watching, waiting. Its eyes never blinked. A presence heavier than the night itself pressed down where it stood. My legs trembled. I couldn't move. It wasn't just a shape. It was the forest itself. And it knew me. We left that night, packed silently, hearts pounding. No one spoke. The counselor trucks roared through the forest roads. Even daylight couldn't erase the memory. The elongated shadows in the corners, the whispering leaves, the weight of its gaze. But the worst wasn't over. In the weeks after, I kept dreaming of the forest. Shadows moving under the trees, whispers calling my name. Sometimes I woke with scratches on my arms. Not deep, but deliberate, like fingers had dragged across my skin while I slept. The wind sometimes carried whispers I couldn't explain, just outside my window. Some things follow you home. Some things never forget. Years later, I still feel it. Every forest, every shadow, every rustle of leaves brings back that memory. I can't go near woods without my skin crawling, without that sense of eyes pressing into my back. I know it's out there, watching, waiting. Even today, in quiet moments, I hear it in the wind. Shapes at the edge of the trees, whispers and voices I barely recognize, pulling me back into that same paralyzing fear. I've tried to forget, I've tried to avoid it, but it lingers, constant patient. Final thoughts gnaw at me. Every summer, every time I hear the wind in the trees, I wonder, did it remember me? Did it wait for the right moment? Or was it always planning, biding its... It was the last week of July when I decided to drive across the state to visit my sister. The summer sun bore down relentlessly on the highway, baking the asphalt into a ripple of heat that shimmered like molten glass. My old sedan hummed steadily beneath me, the tires droning against the road. The air conditioning struggled feebly, wheezing against the suffocating warmth. I cracked the windows, hoping for even a whisper of breeze. But the air was thick, heavy, almost viscous, clinging to my skin. Alone, everything felt normal. Too normal. About an hour outside the city, a black car appeared in my rearview mirror. No license plate, no markings. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if it had been waiting for me. I told myself it was a coincidence, a lost driver maybe. But as I accelerated, it mirrored every move. Lane changes, subtle swerves, even the tiniest adjustments to speed. I could feel it. A shadow pressed against my neck, patient and unyielding. Have you ever sensed something or someone watching you, and no matter what you do, you can't escape? My heart hammered in my chest. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white. The sun sank behind distant hills, stretching shadows across the road like long, grasping fingers. Then suddenly, the radio crackled. Static first, then a voice. Soft, deliberate, intimate. It whispered my name. My pulse skyrocketed. I twisted the dial. Silence. Then it came again. Whispered. Knowing. It knew my name, and it shouldn't. Panic surged. I took the next exit, weaving through narrow, empty streets, hoping to shake it. The black car followed, gliding silently beside me. No driver, just darkness. Eyes, or something, locked onto me. I floored the gas tires, squealing against the asphalt. It accelerated alongside me. I swerved, perfectly mirrored. Every heartbeat felt like it was being counted, every breath monitored. Imagine something with no face, no name, fully aware of you, stalking your every move. Ahead, a diner's neon sign flickered weakly, offering a glimpse of hope. I skidded into the empty lot tires, screaming. Inside, the cashier blinked at me, confused, a sandwich half in hand. Outside, the black car waited silently. Engine off, lights dark, no driver, just the ominous silhouette patient watching. Desperate, I ran back to my car, slammed the doors, and roared onto the highway. The black car followed, gliding silently, unwavering. Trees stretched shadows across the road like long, grasping fingers. Every mile blurred past, each corner twisted unnaturally, as if the landscape itself were reshaping against me. Have you ever felt reality itself bend against you? reshaping so escape seems impossible. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed. The gas gauge flickered. My phone was dead. The road ahead twisted, bending impossibly, the horizon no longer familiar. Then headlights appeared in the distance. Another car. Slow, deliberate, seemingly waiting for me. Relief surged dangerously. I swerved toward it. The black car followed closer, merging with the night. The other car wasn't real. A phantom luring me deeper into danger. I turned onto a back road. The black car vanished briefly. Relief. But then, footsteps, heavy dragging just beyond my doors. No one visible. The sound grew closer. My hands shook. The engine roared. I could hear it, breathing, deliberate, stalking me just beyond the glass. False comfort is the deadliest kind. A narrow bridge appeared ahead. Rain began to fall, droplets smashing against the windshield. The mirrors fogged. The road narrowed, twisting unnaturally. In the rearview mirror, the black car reappeared closer than ever. Its form shifting, limbs or shadows impossible to define, but piercing my mind with cold, invasive awareness. I floored it, tires screeching, engine screaming. The black car followed, gliding forward, unstoppable. I realized with a sinking terror, it wasn't a car at all. It was something older, patient, feeding on fear. Each second stretched, each breath felt like ice against my chest. My mind raced. Could it be some kind of spirit? A presence attached to me? I tried rational thought. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe I was hallucinating. But the sensation of being watched, of every move mirrored, was undeniable. I could feel it reading me, predicting my next action. The highway split into a stretch I barely recognized. Trees leaned unnaturally over the road, branches clawing at the sky. The black car glided closer, shadow merging with the rain-soaked darkness. My heart hammered. My vision tunneled. And then headlights appeared again. Another phantom waiting. Relief bubbled up fragile. I swerved toward it. It vanished before I could reach it. Panic hit anew. Some things don't follow you. They hunt you, and they don't tire. Lights finally appeared. Town lights. A gas station. I swerved in, praying for safety. Inside, a flickering fluorescent light hummed. Outside, silence. The black car was gone, but the stillness brought no comfort. It pressed against me, a warning I could feel deep in my chest. Even now, I cannot drive highways at night. Every stretch of asphalt, every flicker of distant headlights brings it back. That black car had no license plate, no driver. Yet it waits. Patient. Eternal. Watching. Some stories don't end when the danger seems gone. The highway calls to me in dreams. Shadows scrape along the edges of the road. Whispers crawl beneath my skin. Eyes press into the back of my neck. I've tried to forget. Tried to convince myself it was imagination. But it lingers. Constant patient. Waiting for the next traveler. The next lone driver. The thought that I might see it again, sitting silently behind me, sends a shiver down my spine. Even the memory of the summer wind, rustling through the trees along the highway, brings a sense of dread. I drive cautiously now, always scanning mirrors, calculating exits, measuring every moment. If this story sent chills down your spine, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Share your own experiences in the comments. Some shadows are closer than you think. Maybe outside your window tonight. Every summer, when the wind rushes past my window, I wonder, is it still following? Waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Maybe tonight. Maybe the next time you drive alone.